this situation with Lil Boosie and Gangster Williams, right? Alright. I posted a video explaining the circumstances of how he snitched or informed. And what he did was he told on some dead friends of his. And he brought up a good point that really made me reconsider everything. He said to Lil Boosie, because Lil Boosie basically called him a rat and said that his name carried so much weight for so long. And he said it's sad how he went out because he was a hood legend in Louisiana. And Boosie compared what he did to a guy that he knew personally, basically saying these two snitched for the same reason. But Gangster said, look, you can't compare me with him. He had a release date. I had a life sentence. And it just made me realize that it's like this. If you and I are watching case after case, and every conviction is coming from snitching, then we have to get to a point where we say that's normal. We can't keep making snitching to be this abstract, unusual thing that never happens. It happens 90% of the time, literally. We see it. Feds, 98% conviction rate. I was snitched on, and I was just a young kid selling bud, but a man in his 50s, who my barber introduced me to, snitched on me. And I couldn't, and eventually I was mad at him for a long time, but now that I'm 31, I realized that it was my fault. I decided to hop in a game where snitching is common, where informing on people is a usual thing. It's a normal thing. It's something that occurs all the time. So how can I get upset with him for doing it when I knew that was something that happens a lot? And like he said, you don't know what it's like to have a life sentence. So you can't say what you would do if you had one. But I can. And I say that because I've always known my limits. Never got involved in any criminal activity that was past my pay grade. I stayed within things that I could handle, and I told everybody around me, hey, I'm not this, I'm not that, I'm not involved in that. I do this and that. So if you try to involve me in something that's above what I'm telling you, something that I'm not into, then that's on you. Because I'm not into that. And people respect that. And yeah, because people who aren't really built for that life, they want to impress people, so they jump head first into the biggest feet pool, and then they end up drowning, instead of just keeping it gradual. But like I said, man, Gangster's right, man. You can't get mad at people for snitching, because snitching is the most common thing. It's not usual. It's not typical for somebody to take a life sentence, take a RICO charge, take a murder charge, and not snitch, and just keep it solid while everybody else goes home with him. Or that doesn't happen. What happens is people tell. So like Gangster said, you can't judge his story. He didn't have a release date. He was never going home. And like I said, I've been hearing about Giggity since 97, 98. I never knew who he was until he came home this year and introduced himself to the public. But in the 90s, when Cash Money was hot, they always shouted out Giggity. Gangster, Giggity, hard to kill, original hot boy. And I was like, who is that? Giggity? And he popped up, and now we know who Giggity is. So I've been hearing about him since I was 10 years old. My brother's 40. Well, 30. Yeah, he just turned 40. I'm 30. About to be 32. So in 98, he's a teenager, and I'm like 10. So yeah, I remember Giggity. I remember hearing his name a lot. But peace, man.